Welcome to Bedstorm, a comedy game design podcast for two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design.
They said comedy again. Keep going.
I'm Trevor Scott, and with me today, as always, is Ben Slinger.
Yeah, I'm here. Hey.
I was actually thinking how to re-say it so that who know nothing about comedy but a little bit about game design. Because
it's true.
We can now say that. A little bit about game design.
We did make a little bit of a game last weekend. If you haven't gone back and listened to our post-mortem, which is now a week and a half ago, as the time of this release, go and listen to it. It's us rambling on a little bit about how we made a game at the Global Game Jam in Melbourne.
I'm sure Ben edited it to be nice and succinct and concise.
Concise. Yeah. Oh, fuck, I'm getting a foot cramp. All right, so we're going to start with some click pitch, like we always do. For those who are just joining us, Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator. I'm Elmer Fudd, and with me, as always, is that pesky wabbit.
Is Trevor Squat.
Trevor Squat. We each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we get a new word. We take those words, we put them into our imagination generation machines called our brains, and we come up with some sort of game design, which will hopefully tickle your funny bits.
Or make you really, really sad. For, emotional
or just
reasons.
Or really, really sad because the game we just invented does not exist and no one will ever make it. Who knows?
Yeah, that happens too often. 3, 2, 1.
Or maybe we do. We will with our brand new game development skills. 3, 2, 1, click. Improve.
Roulette.
Okay, so we just have to improve roulette. Is this like casino roulette? Is it Russian roulette? Is it casino roulette with Russian roulette rules or something, like merge them?
So basically, if you roll the ball and it lands on 0 or 00 or 000, you get shot.
Yeah, you have to pull the trigger on the revolver.
and at first, there are 6 bullets in the chamber. So
every time someone dies, you know that there's one gone, and so, yeah.
So you got one more chance of staying alive now.
This is some high-stakes fucking roulette.
It's $1,000 a roll.
Okay. I'm sure there's probably higher-stakes roulette than that. But
yeah, probably. Okay, it's $1 million a roll.
This is only for those super rich people who just have no thrills left in their life.
Like, it's
they've
not
done
a video
everything.
game, but it's a game.
Yeah, we never said video games. We just say comedy game design.
It's a board game.
You play the home version.
It comes with a dart gun.
No. Well, in Australia it comes with a dart gun. In America, it's just an actual revolver, fully loaded out of the box. They don't give a fuck if kids kill people. We know this by now.
In fact, the home version comes with a 9mm, so it's not even a revolver.
There was a mix up in the specifications for the manufacturing of the home version, and we put a semi-automatic pistol in there to play Russian roulette with. Funnily enough, the death count did not go up for deaths by gun. It's strange. Not a iota. Didn't change anything. Ben gets political. Pretty sure that was in Trump's State of the Union speech that everyone should play this game. That's only topical today, not a week and a half from now when this is actually airing.
3, 2, 1, click.
I feel like Trevor sighing is like a catchphrase on our show.
If this was a radio show, there'd be like blaring lights and Trevor's side. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Trevor. There'd be like some little fucking sound effect or something. We need a soundboard on this show.
And of course, it happens all too often because Ben's puns are just terrible. So
just powerful puns. Okay. Did you click?
Yes.
Let's get a new word.
Blossoming.
Stop. Blossoming. Oh, I like it. Settling.
they seem to be at odds with each other.
A little bit. Funnily enough, my mind went to, did you ever watch the sitcom Blossom?
Oh, God, yes.
I don't remember much about it, but I feel like the parents in that were probably, like, hard done by. And, you know, there's always the parents who are... We don't actually have to go to Blossom because maybe that's... Oh, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page. She didn't even have a mother at the time, so it's probably not really gonna happen. But I'm just thinking of, like, settling, and maybe there's something around a 90s-style sitcom that we can do.
Okay. So I like the idea that this is like a 90s version of, you take Blossom and then you take her direct opposite, and it's a 90s version of The Odd Couple. Okay. So you've got someone who's settling, trying to just settle down, and Blossom who's trying to, you know, come up in the world, and so you've got those two people at odds with each other.
Right. So this is like a spin-off of Blossom when she's a bit older?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before the same character effectively goes into the Big Bang Theory, she she lives in, I don't know, where was it set? Was it New York City?
Probably. They mostly were.
Oh, I like the idea that it's New York City.
Yeah.
And
look, if we're going for the classic sitcom, 90s sitcom, it's going to be New York City.
So who's settling? Who's from some other sitcom?
Okay. So, yeah, okay. Well, we can do this. We do need to make it into a game at some point. Is it one of the Home Improvement kids? Or is it, yeah, like, is it, what is his name? Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Yeah.
from Home Improvement?
Yeah. Randy was his name, I'm pretty sure.
Was it Randy? Yeah, might have been. Yeah, I don't know. My knowledge of 90s sitcoms, which should be immense, considering my age and how many of them I watched, is lacking due to my bad memory. Okay.
So maybe this is going to go even further back. So I'm picturing now that Blossom comes to the city and she finds a roommate, Punky Brewster.
Okay, I guess so, based on the time frames, because Punky Brewster was a kid in the 80s and then Blossom was like a teenager in the 90s. They'd be about the same age. Okay.
About the same age. Punky obviously was really, really quite out there, and Blossom seemed a bit, I don't know, can't remember everything about it, but I like the idea that Punky is trying to become like this sophisticated sort of New Yorker, and Blossom's really trying to go out and I don't know, play music on like throughout
like
New York pubs or something like that.
Okay,
so that's the start of it.
Right. So they just happen to basically meet each other like when they're new to New York City and like decide to become roommates. Is this it? They get a place together. Yeah.
Become roommates. They sort of became friends, you know, very, very quickly that night, and realized once they're living together that they're kind of the odd couple.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that this is like I know that we always go to this well, but I like the idea of a Telltale game.
I was thinking it's a Lost Vikings-esque platform. They each have specific skills. We bring in a third. Maybe it is Jonathan Taylor Thomas. He's like the neighbor or something, the hot neighbor that they're both into and fighting over. No, I don't know. We can go narrative Telltale-ish if you like.
Yeah.
I would fucking love. And look, Telltale are pretty good at this. I feel like they're dropping off in their quality.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't necessarily... Let's not stick purely with the Telltale formula. But sort of 3D, mostly narrative, like less inventory dialogue puzzles, more just you can alter the narrative in some ways. But I would fucking love here's all these characters from 90s sitcoms. Now they're in their 20s and 30s. Let's like bring them together. That would be fucking awesome.
What I kind of also want is just down the street, you don't necessarily get to talk to them much, but you see like Jerry and and
and George
just walking down the street on the other side.
Are they like, so when are we setting this? Like, are they old now? Like, how old are these people? Maybe set in the 2000s or something, I guess.
Yeah,
because we want them in their 20s.
So it's sort of late series Seinfeld. So Seinfeld was going from what, 94?
Seinfeld was done by then.
Seinfeld was still going
done
in the 2000s.
In 98, I think.
Really?
Because do you remember that fucking Green Day song that they used in the last episode was constantly on at high school? That's how I remember.
Fuck.
So it's literally been 20 years since our high school, like, graduation is 20 years this year since Seinfeld ended.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a couple of years later.
They're very problematic these days.
They're still doing nothing, because it's still a show about nothing. It's just that you see them walking down the street.
Yeah. There's cameos all over the place. So the key characters
in New York, you got the people from Friends, so you got Central Perk that you can sort of walk by. You've got
so Friends finished around then too, eh?
2004, I think it was. Friends.
Yeah, 2004. Okay, so I think we said it because Punky Brewster was mid 80s, and she was like what 8 or 9 or something. So I think we said it
88. There you go.
Finished in 88.
No, it finished in 86 and then it went on
86.
syndication.
Right, okay. Yeah, so it was only a couple of years. 85, 86. And she was, like 8 or 9. So if we said it like 15, 20 years later, so you're like early mid 2000s.
Yep.
So, Ross and Rachel have a kid and fucking Chandler and Monica are married and you occasionally see them around. You have like they cameo in particular episodes because if we make this episodic like the Telltale ones, maybe you can have
be awesome. It's
you can have a different 90s, 80s, 90s, 2000s sitcom character cameo in each one.
And you know what? They could actually serialize this. That something that a lot of those TV shows didn't do, except for Friends. Actually, Friends did do a lot of serialization of their stuff, but a lot of the earlier like sitcoms didn't do that. To actually have like some of the 90s sitcoms in sort of like, don't know whether it's like a CW style drama, like a Dawson's Creek
where they like cross over.
But you've just got different characters from these different seasons. It turns out that they're all in the one area. Maybe at one stage you can come across a crime and it's like people from what's it called, Law and Order.
Law and Order, cops are there.
I just love this idea of then each episode that you're sort of playing through is sort of like previously on The Odd Couple or whatever we're calling it. You can actually see what happened in the previous episodes, and the idea that you can actually I like the idea that you can make some pretty significant choices.
Okay.
So when I say significant, I'm talking about like you can choose not to pursue.
Kill off Joey.
Whoa. I was waiting for a Joey reference. Depends which Joey you're talking about, though.
I was talking about from Friends.
Okay, I thought you meant from Blossom.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, I don't think Joey said "whoa" that much.
No, Joey Lawrence.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't actually remember Blossom. It wasn't one of my big ones.
Okay, damn it! I just blew my Joey wad.
blew your Joey all over the place.
Okay, so he comes in and goes, "How you doing?" And
then he shoot him in the head. No, I don't.
No.
Well, maybe he like gets arrested for sexual harassment or something.
God. But because this is pre-2004, I like the idea that this is like late season Friends. It's sort of 2002, 2003, before it finishes, so you can't actually kill any of those characters off.
Okay, because it'd break canon.
Yeah, you can't break canon.
So basically, anyone whose show finished before 2000 is fair game.
Pretty
so like
much.
Kramer, take him out. Anyone from Blossom. Frasier's off the table.
Oh, you can't kill Frasier because he's in Seattle. Like, he's too far away.
Well, yeah, but it takes... It's the conference in New York. It's a psychology conference.
You don't want to kill Frasier anyway because Frasier is awesome.
Well, can we kill Niles?
No, because we like Niles too.
Okay. Can we kill the dog?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, so what else happened in... Oh, no, I was trying to get to, like, you can choose to, pursue a relationship with, say, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Or you can choose not to, but that's a pretty major difference in the stories that are actually going to happen. So you basically have a set branching story that sort of happens. So each time you play it, it feels like it's a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But the branching stories are only from, like, each episode has, like, one major thing that you can change that changes the complete rest of the story.
Okay, but how much does it change for the subsequent episodes? Or are we keeping it relatively
we're talking,
episodic?
say, 5 episodes. And in the first episode, if you change something, then it splits into, I know you can change something in the second, third, and fourth episode, and it gives you a different fifth episode, basically. So the further down the track you need to make...
I mean, that's like... So there's basically
episodes.
like 25 endings.
Pretty much.
Because there's one major split in each episode. I mean, I don't know how...
Nier Automata did 26 endings, so I'm pretty sure that we can do 25 for this.
All right. Sorry, Devs. There's going to be a lot of crunch time finishing off those last few endings, but it's all for those 3 people who finish all of them.
You know what? This is actually... Episode 1 is set in, like, early August 2001.
Oh, Jesus. Are you bringing in September 11? This is like the reaction of all these sitcom characters to...
Friends went over the September
World Trade
11,
Center attacks. Yeah.
and nothing ever got said. So this is the behind-the-scenes sort of stuff of the reaction.
It's the lost episodes.
Because
Jesus.
I've rewatched it recently and I'm like, hang on. In this season, something major has happened to the world and they didn't make a single reference to it, or at least just acknowledge that something massive had happened in New York.
It's not really the type of show for that, I guess.
And that's why it'll be so awesome in this, like...
God.
What?
Oh, man. No, it's okay. I think we should click again. I think that is about as far as we're going to take that idea.
3, 2, 1, click.
Occupying.
Confrontation.
Okay.
So it's episode 5, and Blossom has just confronted Funky.
No, I'm thinking this is like season 2. It's during the Occupy Wall Street movement. They're all getting like super political. They're like, you guys in New York didn't say anything about 9/11 when it happened. Like, I'm not going to let you get away with it now as the 1%. Steps all over the rest of us. Wait, you guys are the 1%. You were getting like $1 million an episode. It's actually just it's not even the character. They're just all breaking character. Like, fuck all. I know I'm on Big Bang Theory now, but still don't get paid as much. I'm a fucking neuroscientist or whatever these shoes. I don't know.
Okay, so what was your word again?
Occupying.
Occupying and confrontation.
Yeah. All right, I've got an idea.
Okay,
it's a VR game.
Okay, yep.
You're in a phone booth. You are occupying a phone booth. And you have goals of like, I don't know, we can think about what put you there, but I think you've got certain people you have to call. But at the same time, there are people confronting you, like they want to use the phone booth.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a little bit like that movie phone booth.
I was about to say, so it's the movie phone booth.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to go anywhere, otherwise you'll get shot.
We could basically take aspects of that. Yes. Maybe it's not a sniper. Maybe it's, I'm thinking it's sort of just a sort of story-based experience, like a lot of those VR things are.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to just sort of solve the situations that are put in front of you to make it through to the next bit. I'm thinking, though, instead of like a sniper, maybe there's some sort of monster or like there's like some event has happened outside and you are safe in the phone booth and you're communicating with someone over the phone on and off. Like they call you up or whatever, and you're hearing about this stuff that's happening outside, and you're also, and then as it goes on, like you start seeing glimpses of it.
Oh, and you hear the vibration and like
your touch control maybe as it gets closer to you or something. So maybe it starts off very mundane, and like you need to make a call to, you know, your brother, and
You can't get through.
no, you do get through, but as you're talking to them, this event occurs, like some fucking alien invasion starts or whatever.
You know what I would love? And this means that you cannot leave. There's a park bench sort of nearby.
Yeah.
And basically there's sort of an explosion that happens beside. And the park bench literally comes and leans on the door. So
I love that. You know what? Yes. As this happens, you hear it first as it happens to your brother.
Mm-hmm.
But basically there's like a cascade of alien like pods that smash down, and one smashes down near you, and like an alien flies out and dies. But yeah, it also like blasts debris up against the side of the phone booth so you can't get out. But I love the idea that there's just this dead alien the whole game, and maybe you're wondering if it's going to come back, like if it's actually dead, or maybe there isn't. Maybe it's not even completely dead. It's still twitching
sort of
occasionally or
twitching a little bit,
something. So that can be part of it. Like, is this thing just going to
And in VR, I can tell you now, there's a couple of games that I've played that are horror-like games that literally you don't want to take your eye off that thing. One of them was the duck season game. There's one of the endings in which the bad guy, which I'm pretty sure you know who the bad guy is, but I'm not going to spoil it. He basically gets gunned down and is laying there and looking at you, like with these glowing red eyes.
right?
And then there's like a few things happening on the TV, but I couldn't keep my eyes off him. I didn't want to. Basically, you got nothing to defend yourself. You're only a kid in the game, and it's like the feeling of helplessness.
When you're that immersed as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you could do some really cool shit with that.
Helplessness and not wanting to take your eyes off that, but knowing you have to do something else at the same time.
You could really fuck with the player too, and like it's lying there mostly dead, but you start moving it when they're not looking at it, like a little bit closer. But then back again, like it's not actually that it's definitely getting closer. It's just literally to fuck with them a bit. You occasionally make it so it's a bit closer, and then they like look back at it and it's back where it was. It's like, am I going insane?
I like the idea that you got to maybe look through a phone book to try and.
You got to figure out who to call. Like, I think you get cut off from your brother, and then like maybe you try to call 911. Maybe you then start searching through the phone book. I don't know. Maybe your brother gives you a hint of someone to call. Yeah,
so I like the idea that you've got like a sort of like a notebook, but it's actually, it's your thoughts in your brain.
Yeah.
But basically he goes, I think I need to contact this person who I went to grad school and like he's high up in the military or something.
Mm.
And then you can maybe get in contact with him or do some sort of ringing around puzzle.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some other things that you can do. Like, turns out that, you can use like your finger on the window to like
write messages or something.
But the idea being that maybe you've got to actually like solve some sort of mathematical puzzle to actually go a little bit further.
Oh, but so you can use the window as kind of a scratch board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Or a logic puzzle or something like that.
Well, I like the idea that something happens and the phone breaks and you have to like fix it by putting specific wires together or something. Like figuring out a puzzle there so that you can make the next call.
I like the fact that you open it up and there's actually like a little diagram there saying which one needs to be plugged into where.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to like unscrew the side, it sort of hinges open, and you get the internals of the phone booth and sort of have to solve that puzzle. I like that a lot. That's cool. That'd be fun.
I'm thinking that one of the things that happens at the very start, or if you're trying to bash on the window, that your character says, and this is actually, something to stop people from just going, oh, why don't you break the glass? But actually have him say something about how the company that he works for just installed this bulletproof glass into the phone booth.
After watching the movie Phone Booth.
I don't know, just
like this is never going to happen again. Yeah, I mean,
a
lot of those phone booths
safe...
have like that hard perspex and stuff too. Like it's not that easy to just bash through, particularly when you're stuck in a small space like that.
Yeah, you can't get any sort of wind up.
Exactly. I think you can definitely kind of write that off narratively.
What other puzzles could you have? Like, we've got the fixing the phone, logic puzzles, trying to work out.
Maybe at some point the alien does wake up and does break part of the glass, but then die. Like it's sort of its death rattle. It flails, smashes the top half of the glass. You still can't climb out. But now there are parts of this alien, like it's sort of big hooked, spiked hands in there or something, and you have to give that information to someone who's like trying to dissect one or like trying to figure out more about the aliens, and so you literally have to get a shard of glass and dissect part of this alien.
Oh, now I'm just getting the thought that it's either Surgeon Simulator or you've got to basically Rick and Morty this bastard and, attach it to yourself and basically pickle Rick it.
Pickle Rick it? No, I was thinking more of that episode where he just like lures a specific creature to him so that he can, because he knows that he can pull it apart and build something out of it. Maybe that is it. Maybe it's not just that its arms are in there. It does bash through, it dies, its arms are in there. You literally have to pull it into the phone booth. And so now you're in the phone booth with this like physics ragdolled, gross alien thing. And yeah, you have to like cut certain bits of it off and cut its brain open in this small space. And you're just like, you've only got one surface, which is the top of the phone booth to like rest things on so you can find them again. All the while, you've got... Actually, that'd be really funny. You've got the phone. Maybe you have a mechanic where you can, like... You have to keep your head tilted, so it's like you're holding the phone against your shoulder. And if awesome. You don't, it, like, drops. So you can use two hands at the same time and have to hold the phone there.
Yeah, I really like that.
That'd be really cool.
I like that a lot. I like the idea that the only thing that can cut into it is, like... itself, because it's basically got like sort of lobster claws, so it's got like a razor sharp.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Lobster claws. Yeah, it's like the Omni Droid in The Incredibles. You have to use its own things to pull it apart.
Yeah, I was actually thinking it was the Lobodile from that game that we did a little while ago,
a couple weeks ago.
3, 2, 1, click.
I love that. Just as an aside, we could fucking build. We could build that, man.
We could now.
Totally. Like, there's not that much art in it. We'd have to obviously record all the audio and stuff.
We've got mics.
Totally. All you need is a phone booth, an environment outside of it, and then the alien. So you'd have to get someone to do the alien, but like that's not that big a deal. Yeah. Totally build that game. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
So I'll build a phone booth and
game jam it. Fault.
Prude.
Okay. So fault takes me in a couple directions. Obviously, like, someone is at fault. They've done something that has caused a problem. They are the one who caused it. Or a fault in something that makes it not work properly. So,
both places that I didn't go.
Really? Where did you go?
I went to, because I was sort of thinking disaster. Then I was thinking earthquake, fault line, all that sort of stuff. So I was kind of thinking that what you could actually have is like a game. Maybe it's VR, in that you were taking a shower when there was an earthquake. The side of your building.
I see where Prude's coming in. Okay.
Yep. The side of your building, basically, like, I'm thinking that you're an apartment building and you're on the second floor, and it sort of collapses right on the side of your shower. Like, the only way out is literally to go down this rubble.
Okay.
But you're naked. So you've got to use your touch controllers to cover up.
And so you're scored based on, like, how many people see your junk?
Well, I think it's sort of like, because it's a disaster movie and everyone's trying to get away, you just happen to be this one character who's trying to, like, interact with different things, but you can only use one hand at a time. So
hang on,
you've got to cover yourself up. I'm thinking...
What if you want to play a woman?
Then you've got to sort of...
How prudish are you exactly? Do you have to drape things across yourself?
Well, I think maybe you can, like, drape things across yourself, and basically... You're trying to just find somewhere to cover yourself
oh, you know
up
what?
and get
Maybe
out of
it's
the city as well.
I like the idea that it's a puzzle game, sort of like Portal. Like, you know how in Portal you can't take like the cubes through the, you know, the whatever they call them, the fields.
Yeah, the dismantling grid or whatever it is.
Yeah, there are all sections of this where in this level there are things you can cover yourself with. But as you leave the level, there's always something that happens that makes it, that like pulls it off you before you go to the next stage, and you're stuck covering yourself again with one or two hands.
You get the shower curtain off and you cover yourself up with it.
Yeah.
And then
so
the
now
dog
you can
grabs
move
hold
around
and runs away with it.
Yeah. Like there's a little cutscene between the levels where something happens every time, and you're completely in the nude again.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm seeing the second level, like you find some basically inflammable clothes that right at the only way out of this level is to go through these flames, and they just sort of go, oh shit.
Yeah, you have to run through the flames, and they just go up in smoke.
Yeah. And so you get a little cutscene of your character just ripping the clothes off, and it's like, God damn it, I'm back to square one.
Yeah, I like the idea that in some levels you actually have to use your covering to like hook onto something and climb up or swing across something. I feel like this this would work really well in VR, except the puzzling stuff is very physical that I feel like wouldn't work that well in VR. So it's I kind of actually like it almost as a bit of a isometric third person, where it's like a fixed camera or mostly fixed camera, and you're kind of having to like so your character automatically covers himself up based on what articles of covering you've managed to find. So as they're walking around at the start of the level, they're just covering up their front and their chest if they're a woman. Maybe being a woman is hard mode because you've just got more things to cover up in our current society's like version of prudishness. So
think about that scene from the Simpsons movie where Bart is skateboarding naked. So you've got at each part of the level, you've actually got basically
foreground objects
in which you've got a time to get yourself across the screen.
I like that. So it's literally you're trying to stop the player, the camera, from seeing your junk
as well. So in this particular scene, you sort of, okay, you've got this sort of waving back and forward, garden gnome sort of thing, just waving. So you're just like, okay, and walk.
Yeah, time it because you need to carry something that's like two-handed.
Yeah,
across from one side to the other. So you have to time it right so that this thing covers your junk in the right ways. Yeah, I also just like the idea. And again, now that we've sort of got this experience, I can imagine how you would do this in like Unreal or something. That like, you're not carrying anything, so they're covering themselves. But as you turn so that you're facing away from the camera, they like automatically move their hand to their butt. Like really quickly, just this fun little animation.
Okay, so what it could actually be, I'm not sure how this exactly will work, but I like the idea that you work, rather than you playing the naked person, you actually work as like a CCTV sort of operator, and you've got some sort of control over things that by hacking into certain things. So you got to basically sort of create these things.
Critical Path from the old 90s game. Or more recently, Republic. Critical Path was my first CD-ROM game. Full motion video, baby.
I never played it.
All right. Anyway, yes. So you're so
maybe there's certain parts in which yes, you are doing certain things from that person. Then there's another chapter later on that you play. The camera view is always from this sort of CCTV view.
Yeah.
Which is
maybe it's not that
you trying to block from.
Maybe it's not that you are playing the person behind the CCTV. Maybe it's just that your character, you are playing the naked character, but at some point they start communicating with someone who is able to see the CCTV, and so you can get them to like turn things on and off, or like have some sort of control over what is active in your environment, or like what camera is turned on. So it could that could be really interesting because you could have different perspectives on the same room where there's different things in the foreground that are going to cover you up. So there's almost a bit of like that Fez style thing of rotation,
around.
yeah, like of changing your perspective, and maybe it's even, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't have it swinging from camera to camera because there's CCTV, but like, yeah, you have to be in the right position when you switch to the other camera to know that you're going to be covered up when that camera turns on. There's some really cool puzzling that you could do with that, man.
There really is.
That's really fun.
Then you can also
Naked
be telling
Fez,
this.
that's what we'll call it.
Naked Fez.
Fez, but with dicks and tits. It'll sell 1 billion.
I'm picturing on the cover, it's got this lady holding 2 fezzes over her chest, and like one down the bottom,
over
and
her crotch.
And there's a guy just with a fez, and he's got his hands off it.
Ah, come on. That's pretty funny though. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like
3,
that
2,
would
1,
be a
click.
90s like computer game. Like, I don't think that would actually pass today, but in the 90s, that definitely would.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like that's a Leisure Suit Larry cover or something.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yep. Lie. 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 Wait, is there a different sort of lie? I guess there's like the chemical lie. That could be interesting. No, Lie. Lie.
Curbing.
Kirby?
Curbing. As in curbing your enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good word.
So it's a continuation of that, the sitcom game from before.
Right.
It's a sequel, but many moons later on, Larry David.
Yep. You play Larry David just getting pissed
Getting
off at
caught
all
in
the
lie
other
after lie after lie.
Yeah, all the other characters from all the other sitcoms. It's actually just an alternate version of that game from Larry David's perspective. No, let's not do it. Curbing lie. So like to curb something obviously is just to sort of stop it or slow it.
Restrain or keep in check.
Yeah. Or a sidewalk, like the edge of a sidewalk. Don't hit the curb. Did you hit the curb? No, I didn't. You're lying.
Or, if we go with the Urban Dictionary, the act of knocking someone out, then placing their open mouth on the curb so that when the back of the skull is repeatedly stomped on, all their teeth get broken.
Yeah, we could go the
Thank
whole
you, Urban Dictionary.
American History X curb stomping.
Curb stomping.
I think Gears of War had that too.
Yeah.
No.
So if you want to go down that one.
No. Well, I'm sure there's a ton of gameplay there, but no, not really. No. I think we should maybe click again.
Yeah, I think so. 3, 2, 1, click.
Entering.
Canon.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I've been watching some streams of Sea of Thieves in which you can blast yourself out of a cannon onto an island. So that's basically where my mind's going. It'll show you make a whole game around that mechanic.
You're a human cannonball.
Mm-hmm. Like in the circus?
In the circus, and you have to basically your big trick is, getting into a massive cannon and you never get hurt.
Okay.
Out of this like mystical
That's
cannon.
your superpower, yep.
So I think it's like a platformer in which you're dragging along this cannon.
Okay.
Kind of
like a 2D or a 3D platformer. What sort of?
My mind immediately goes to like a Limbo-esque running alongside, having to work out, kind of similar to the dung beetle game that we came up with a little while ago. Just with like a human cannonball.
So instead of like cutting up your dung to climb on things, you're having to figure out how to fire yourself onto things to then like open a door to continue, to pull your cannon through because you can fit through but your cannon can't, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd work. There you go. Game done. Are you a clown? Are there other aspects? Because sort of a lot of the time in the circus, the clowns, I feel like people being fired at a cannon are often the clowns and they're doing it for laughs. Maybe you could bring in other puzzle aspects around other elements of clowning. So you've got like the water, the flower that fires water out of it. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah. My hand was literally up there at my pretend flower ready to squirt it. And I'm like, no one can see this. What the fuck are you doing?
This is an audio medium. Yeah. You can like make sound with your by honking your nose. Maybe your big feet come into it in some way. Can you float on them or something? Are you a magical clown where you can like continuously spray water out of your flower and then float your way up on your big, like, the feet that have huge surface area for balancing on?
God.
But you can and can't float, so you got to figure out something for that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got nothing. 3 to 1 click.
That was enough. That was a good game.
Yeah,
they don't all have to be 15-minute epics about 90s sitcom stars. Age.
Antiquity.
Oh, well, they go well together. In fact, they're very similar concepts. Okay. This could be an interesting thing around the relationship between a person and an object.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean the sexual relationship. Don't be dirty, Trevor.
So, are you playing the antique shop owner? And basically, as each person sort of comes in to either buy or sell the object, you basically sort of collect their story.
Yeah, you find out a little bit about each person, and then they come back and they sell it again.
Tell the story to someone else.
Right.
And basically, there's some sort of thing that actually happens throughout.
Yeah, well, maybe the antique owner has a relationship with one of the people eventually who come in or something, and there's some sort of mirror around the objects that are being sold.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we can just sort of come up with these story ideas where we're like, yeah, and there's a really poignant analogy, but we're not actually going to come up with what it is because we're not that clever. But we'll just, it's like really heart-wrenching.
It's really heart-wrenching. Like this is Cat.
Exactly. Well, that one we did come up with it, and that was good. This one, we'd have to come up with all the characters and things, but...
So I'm seeing it as, is it a young antique shop owner?
Sure, someone has inherited an antique store from their person.
From their grandparent or...
Yes.
Or elderly relative.
Elderly relative, sure.
And they've got basically a book of all these old stories about these antiquities.
Right. So you've got your like, your book of all the things that are currently in the store, or maybe that have been sold in the store, with some history about them that you can look at. It's too big. It's not like you have to read through the whole thing, but
no.
As a new item comes in or gets sold, you can look into the history of it and see like, oh, like this was owned by the grandparent of this person. And you start to get a sense for this web of relationships, all centering on this antique store.
So, I mean, it could go into like not necessarily a platformy sort of level, but an actual,
Sorry, I just love the idea of this, like, buying and selling, like, finding out these stories about these people, and then there's a platforming level.
I just like the fact that, like, there's an old lamp. And so the story starts being told of like, an adventure that this person went through to get this old lamp.
Right.
And you sort of play it out.
Maybe. I'm sort of thinking of this more as almost a visual novel-ish.
Visual novel.
Yeah, not full-on visual novel where it's literally just sort of portraits and clicking and stuff.
Click.
But more... there was some games where... What was that game? There was a game where you played like a shopkeeper that was similar to this, like a fantasy shopkeeper. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it was very anime styled. I'm not really thinking that, but yeah, I like the idea that you find out a bit more about the like relative who you inherited this from and their relationship to the people coming in, but then the relationships between the different people coming in. Like maybe there's another young person who's inherited an object from their elderly relative. And so you hear their story, but you also start up a relationship with that person, and or someone comes in who knew your relative, and so you learn a bit more about them that way. Yeah,
I'm just wondering if there's a way that you can actually like decline to sell to certain people as well, like because they're sort of as you go on, you realize that making sure that the right person gets this is actually
that's a good
important
point.
to you. So
that's it, because you start to recognize this sort of sentimental value. So there are at least one character that's just like in it for the money and like just resells these things and is really, you know.
I like the idea that he, this character that you refuse to sell to, that you can, you know, you've got to sort of try and get information. Maybe they come in all the time. And the whole idea is that you've got to try and work out what they're actually doing with all these things. And you find out that they're selling them on eBay for like a lot more money and obviously not caring about the stories that you've been telling them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's this real thing about, you know, all these items have stories and appreciating that, and appreciating the stories behind them and the people behind them.
And to know that some of these stories are literally just stopping with this one person. Because you every single time they buy something, you tell them this story, and they seem really engaged, and then they walk out and they sell it, and that story literally dies with that person. So they're sort of like a story killer, and
yeah. Well, now I'm thinking you could even have a mechanic that, like, based on who you sell it to, tracks these stories. Like, that actually moves a bit away from what I was thinking of, which was a relatively linear sort of thing with different events and different conversations and stuff. But yeah, that, like, if you do have a choice on who to sell it to, because, you know, you do have to also keep this place running. And so that person does pay more money for this stuff. But yeah, you move to your, like, little graph of the stories of these things, and it just, like, there's a skull and crossbones. It just, like, dies or fades away into a gravestone or something. It's like no one will ever hear the story of this person again that went along with this item.
But that could just be a thing that comes up at the end of the game. Like
that's true. Yeah, you find out how many stories you killed by selling to the wrong people, and
like maybe you didn't note down this story well, so it got. Yeah,
that could be like a management aspect to it. It could be a management aspect to it where you have to, like, link the stories to the right objects or something because you needed to be paying attention, and if you get that wrong, then you've tainted the stories in some way.
Yep.
Yeah. That's some cool stuff you could do there.
I reckon we'll go with one more and then we'll call it a night.
Oh yeah, we were going to maybe do something different, but no, we're nearly done.
No, we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, click.
Okay. Structure.
Gestation.
Okay, my mind is going to some interesting places. So, have you seen The Shape of Water yet?
No.
Okay, it's not super important. I was just more thinking of the idea of scientists, well, people, not necessarily scientists, maybe military, whatever, coming across some sort of alien creature or just unknown creature, like a cryptid of sorts. But they find it, and it's dead, but it's pregnant. And they need to come up with some sort of structure, some sort of device, some sort of whatever, to gestate this child so that they can study it or whatever. Like, depending on sort of who gets a hold of it, maybe they want to kill it if they're the military because they're fucking reactionary assholes. If the scientists are there, that they want to study it or there's, you know, some scientists want to dissect it and study it. Some scientists want to protect it so that it can grow and they can find out more about it.
So is this happening somewhere in the United States?
Probably.
You reckon?
That's where those sort of bloody conflicts happen the most. Well, no, we could do it somewhere more. I don't know. We could do it somewhere different. It doesn't always have to be the States.
Okay, so building a huge structure there somewhere in the world.
Where is it set? I don't know. Somewhere in Europe, maybe?
Okay, let's set it in, like,
Spain?
a cold region of Europe.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking like
Norway
or
Iceland,
even Iceland or Greenland or something like that. Somewhere very, very cold. So they got to sort of, it's a race to sort of get warmth to this thing.
So I don't actually know.
I like the atmospheric.
Yeah, I like that too. That's good. I don't actually know though what the gameplay is. Because you could almost do a sort of sim building sort of game of sorts where you literally you have different elements to build up a structure that's keeping this thing alive, and you have to be able to power it, and you have to provide the right sort of chemicals and stuff, and it needs to be self-sustainable in some way because things happen where like maybe different factions are trying to get this thing.
Okay, so what I'm liking about this so far is that we've got this very basic story of we've found an alien baby that we need to keep warm. Maybe you're in like a science station in which you play a character that is sort of like a handyman sort of thing.
Okay, so you're not even necessarily a scientist.
So you got the scientists there telling you what to do. So straight away, you're not have to coming up with these things. Okay. Basically, they're saying go fix something in the boiler.
So they're sort of like fetch quests to begin with, in a way. Yeah.
What it can actually have is like some of those tropes of like, say, The Thing and other sort of alien stories. But I like the idea that you can subvert them in the fact that this alien being saved is actually a very good thing for humanity in that the things that are sort of chasing you in the story are
the humans
that are trying to stop you from doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay, so you play this handy person, and so I like the idea that you, as you're just doing these things, and look, you haven't seen The Shape of Water, but this is actually very similar. But that's fine, because that was a movie, this is a game. But you start a relationship with this thing in some way, like you get a connection with it. Initially just an empathetic connection with it, because it's like a child and you're a human being. And so you sort of want to take care of it. But maybe as it grows and gestates and becomes a fully formed being and gets closer to actually being born, as it were, it's got some sort of psychic abilities, and you actually kind of start communicating with it in certain ways.
Okay, and you can have sort of like pre-scripted dialogue that sort of happens while you're doing some menial task.
Certainly thinking this is more of a narrative thing. Look, it could even be combat and stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe this is literally you, by the end, you're trying to protect this thing.
By setting traps and that sort of stuff.
I don't know, something, yeah, like holding off long enough for its birth, and when it's born, it just like, it can take care of itself then. Although that could be cool, that the first sort of, third or 2/3 of the game, like half or 2/3 of the game, is you protecting this thing as it grows. And then once it's sort of fully formed and born, now it's kind of a companion thing where now you're fighting your way out of here, and it's like blasting the shit out of people. But you still have to do things like it can't get cold. So there are sort of puzzles and combat stuff that you have to do to make sure it stays warm enough. Or like if it does get cold, then you're having to lead it through, but its powers are depleted until it can warm up again or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I just really like the idea of being able to play with those typical horror tropes at the start, though, because that
for
to
sure
me is making you feel as though, maybe you got some of the scientists who start like maybe turning on other ones, basically thinking that they're being influenced by this thing,
right? Yeah, but
and getting that paranoia.
But it's not even like, just because you are communicating with it, that it's not actually affecting them at all. It's literally just their paranoia turning on each other. Because I guess maybe they find out that it has some level of psychic abilities, and they just like keep accusing each other of being influenced by it.
Yep. So the first third of the game can be that sort of stuff, and then you've got agents of like, other parties trying to get in, and
they're trying to either take it and use it as a weapon, or they're trying to kill it because they're so maybe there's like the military who are trying to steal it to then use it as a weapon, figure out how its psychic stuff works because they want psychic soldiers. And then you've got like a Greenpeace sort of organization that's just decided it's a threat to humanity and want to destroy it. they're like a radical environmentalists or something.
Save the humans, kill the whales, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Let's have a little think about what sort of creature this is, and what does it need to? Because it needs to stay warm. Is it some sort of like lizardish sort of thing, or?
Oh yeah, a cold-blooded.
Yeah.
A cold-blooded alien species, and literally they I'm picturing that you get sort of like a background throughout. The aliens have got genetic memory, so that they actually know what their parents were going through when they
have
landed.
Memories of them, yeah. So it communicates some of that to you, and you definitely find out a lot of the backstory of this species and where they came from. Yeah,
and it just gives you little bits at a time. But the idea that they were literally coming here just to observe, and they ended up like crashing in like a cold part of the world,
right?
And they're being cold-blooded, so therefore they froze to death.
Oh, so maybe they've just been hibernating for a long time too, before they were found.
Yeah, but then finally, its parents got.
Yeah. There could even be some sort of like survival instinct in their species that, in that situation, like the mother's body, puts all its resources to keeping the baby alive, kind of thing.
But even that wasn't good enough, sort of thing.
Well, it kept it alive long enough for the humans to find it, but obviously by that stage, there was nothing left for the parent to survive.
That's cool.
I like that.
So I'm seeing like an ET sort of ending of like, this is just the grown up ET in which
yes, you get it home in some way, like its family comes to pick it up.
You got like this one sequence where you're on like a snow speeder, and sort of it's in the basket at the front.
You're full on. No, you know what? It's the opposite, because it's actually, by the time it grows, it's quite large. So you're in the basket at the front.
And it flies.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like as its family comes to pick it up and like beams you up into the sky. Awesome.
And then, the next version is like, the next game is you're on their planet, and
totally
you're trying to get away from their scientists who are trying to investigate you.
Yes, the sequel is now the tables are turned and you are the alien, and they're trying to dissect you. Totally. This could be a whole new franchise, man.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I like it when we end on something good like this.
I think we had some really interesting ideas, and particularly like around narratives and stuff this week. That was really fun. I like a lot of those.
Yeah,
that's cool. All right. Well, let's finish it up there. We'll do some housekeeping here. As I find my notes, I will vamp a little bit, and here we go. If you want to find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, we never post on Instagram, but follow us there anyway. We are Bitstormcast on all of those. We have a Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Bitstorm. We're on Podchaser, podchaser.com/Bitstorm. Great stuff coming on Podchaser soon. I'm one of the people who make it. New search should be out by now, by the time you hear this.
You can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. We've got a website, bitstormcast.com. We'd like to plug our friends at the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Just check out #AGPN on Twitter or the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook for all those details. And finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
So thank you again for joining us this week. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. Whoa! Comedy game design podcast for two guys who know nothing about comedy.
We're gonna come out comedy all over your comedy. Come, chameleon. Okay, go on.